All right, welcome back to Keepin the Comic, and we're diving into a new comic book series here with Iron Man issue number 1. Now, this series is kind of like an Armor Wars 2.0, and it is picking up here after the end of the Mutant Krakoan era, with Stark trying to reclaim Stark Unlimited, but not without opposition. So Stark ends up taking some really hard hits in this one, emotionally and physically, from Roxxon, AIM, and then someone that we thought was dead, who will be a major problem in the series, which really makes this seem like an impossible fight here for Tony to win. So starting out, we end up in upstate New York at one of these Stark Unlimited factories. There's a group of employees trying to get through the gate to enter the facility. Now, 2 men are behind the gate telling them plants close today and that they need to go home. Now, when the group decides that they aren't going anywhere, those same 2 men, I guess, decide that, listen, we'll make them leave. So they transform into these big purple beast-looking monsters, one of whom had a horn on him, which for some reason reminded me of the Feral Imp here from Yu-Gi-Oh! But one of the members in the group said that they look like Hulks, which I guess is more of a fitting description. Now, before things could get deadly here, one of them gets hit with a repulsor blast, and enter in our protagonist, Iron Man, who apparently was only in the area because he wanted to inspect this factory that Stark Unlimited had opened. Now, for context, this factory was opened after Kelvin Heng, aka Fei Long, killed Stark Unlimited shareholder Zhang Wei. He then bought his shares, which made him the new owner of Stark Unlimited. Now, at that point, he decided, all right, I'm gonna start producing Sentinels. Naturally, he later used those Stark Sentinels to attack mutants, one of which was at the final Hellfire Gala in Krakoa, and ultimately led to a lot of mutants going into hiding. Now, eventually, Magneto and Tony ended up defeating Fei Long, which later on ended up landing Fei Long in Morocco. So now Tony is on a cleanup tour trying to shut down the weapons manufacturing. Now, one thing that Tony does mention when he comes back to this place here is how he didn't bother to bring his anti-magic Mysterium armor with him. Now, the Mysterium armor that he's mentioning here is one of Iron Man's strongest suit, which is built with a miracle metal that is more durable than adamantium and is unaffected by magic. Now, with the help of Emma Frost, who, by the way, was once his wife during the end of the Krakoan era, helped him retrieve the Mysterium to be able to create this suit. Now, him not having this now will actually be one of the biggest downfalls in this issue. Now, after the 2 purple beasts decided to retreat, Tony lets the group into the facility. Now, this group in particular here was trying to unionize because they feel that they have no say in what types of things that they create at this facility. The issue being that other people choose when they make weapons, when they don't want to make them, and so on and so forth. What they want is more input, considering that they are the ones that are doing the physical labor. So Tony lets the head guy of this union know, whose name is Ramon, that he will essentially do better. He'll write down what the union wants for the factory into a contract, and then, he'll be able to see that later on. So then when Tony tries to fly off after dealing with this business, the thrusters in his suit start to malfunction and then shut down. So what happens, right? Tony comes crashing down right through the roof. So immediately someone yells, "Call the ambulance!" And then we pick up on Tony many weeks later, as they say, in a hospital bed. Casts all over his body, stitches in his head, going through physical therapy, and you can see that this man has lost a lot of weight, which kind of reminds me of what he looked like here in the MCU after Thanos had given him the business. So it seems that he's been here for quite a while, right? Now, what he can't wrap his brain around is, like, what happened to his suit? Nothing in the diagnostics registers that there have been anything wrong with the propulsion, the fuel, or the data systems. So until he finds the answers, he decides to run a global armor update to patch every suit that isn't offline. And I'm telling you guys, that was a mistake. He also mentions that he's considering going to a link neural interface because syncing to his nervous system would have alerted him to a misfire before he went airborne. But with the link having to occur mid-brain, which is close to the mesolimbic pathways, that could cause a problem with him being a previous alcoholic. Messing with his brain dopamine supply might not really be a good idea. but he has to table those thoughts because he has his first board meeting after getting control of Stark Unlimited. Now, the first person that greets him there in this meeting is Jack Coonan Jr. And let's just say that they aren't too fond of each other for many reasons. But in this situation, considering that Jack probably blames Tony for his father's death and that Jack was also placed on the board by Fei Long, listen, that relationship is not going to get better. Now, the chairperson also of this meeting is Melinda May, aka the Cavalry, and we all love the Cavalry. Now, Tony makes his pitch to the team, explaining how he would like to create an app called Star Booking, which would be used to bet on superhero fights, showing betting odds on people like Captain America, Thor, Captain Marvel, and Vision as the demos. The ultimate goal here, of course, being that he would like to take Stark Unlimited out of the weapons business for good. But Melinda was basically like, nah, we do have the good of Stark Unlimited at heart, but here comes in the other plan. So right at that moment, here comes in Monica Rappaccini, aka AIM's Scientist Supreme. Now, because Tony was in the hospital, this gave her, along with the partnership of Roxxon, the opportunity to make a lucrative offer to become the new weapons manufacturer. So naturally, Tony is like, hell nah. But Jack lets him know that he doesn't have the power to say no, that this is ultimately going to be up to the board for them to be able to vote on, which by the looks of it is a foregone conclusion that it's going to happen whether or not he likes it. Now, of course, this puts Tony in a very tough spot because if he decides to try and shut down the weapons plants by himself, then he gets sued and he will get ousted by taking action without them. Also, in addition to that, with Jack also already signing a letter of intent with Roxxon and AIM, it makes the missile production ordinary business that he cannot interfere with. So he continues to look through the files to see if there's anything that he can come up with until he gets distracted by browsing on social media. So he ends up replying to one username at Flying Tiger, which was a very bad idea because Tony left his location on and that led to them blowing up a place right near him. So when he goes over there, he sees it as at a laundromat, which prompts him to think it's crazy that Daredevil isn't here already. I guess he doesn't really go east of the park. And then Tony scans inside with his suit and the scans show that there's no people that are inside. So he goes in to clear out the fire, but then two people start attacking him. Apparently these two people call themselves the Tiger Pack. One's got a tiger face with tiger teeth and wings, and then the other a shark face with, you get the point. But Iron Man is like, hold on. I thought my suit said that there was nobody inside, but realizing that he doesn't have the time to really think about that, he starts fighting back, knocking both of them back momentarily. And when he fires at them again, they both do dodge and Shark Guy starts chomping down literally at his knees, which looks like it might have penetrated through. Now, when he slams both of them to the ground, his suit detects a streaming signal. It turns out that they were streaming this fight. So Tony's like, yo, you're streaming me beating your butt, which makes him think that Stark booking, by the way, is probably a good idea. But then Stark gets it now. He's like, this is the guy that was messaging me on social media, aka Flying Tiger. They blew up the laundromat so that they could look at the camera and then say, he is washed. So Tiger is like, you are washed. So Tony says, then your followers just saw a washed guy own you. So then the Tiger replies back, he's like, when the boss says take a punch, I take a punch. And then he says, you didn't even think about wearing your magic armor. And now things are going to start to unfold, guys. So now Tony's starting to piece everything together, right? He's like, whatever shorted out his suit, it wasn't mechanical. It was not malware. It was in fact magic, which is why his diagnostics did not catch it. So Tony decides, all right, it's time for me to head over and get this anti-magic suit, because if Flying Tiger knows about this, then he really has something to be concerned about. So when he lands at the location where he's keeping that magic suit, this dude gets double punched, or I'm gonna just call it a sandwich punch, because that's basically what it looks like. That's when we see these two purple beasts that we saw earlier again. But Tony's trying to focus on one thing. He's like, I gotta get the Mysterium armor, and then I gotta get back to the hospital, because all those injuries and stitches, all those things are basically getting unraveled and undone right now because of these two fights. But that's not going to be easy, because these guys right here, they are trying, they are hitting to kill. So Tony ends up repulsoring one of them, what looks like to oblivion, Well, at least for like a couple minutes here. And then he asks the questions like, yo, why are you in my warehouse? And then another voice pops up and says, this isn't your warehouse, Tony, it's mine. Now that voice was from Justine Hammer, aka She Should Be Dead Hammer, aka Justin Hammer's daughter. She did, by the way, drop that line though of like, surely by now you're used to people coming back from the dead. So she lets Tony know that Roxxon has powerful allies in other dimensions, that they brought her back to life to close the Stark acquisition. It is from here where we find out that Roxxon provided her with the Berserker team, which are the two purple people eaters that we saw back at the plant and the ones that just attacked him now. Then the Animal Men, Shark Guy and Flying Tiger, that they were old Masters of Evil members that kept Stark busy while they were over here raiding the spot. Raiding it for what? We'll find out soon. So when Stark tries to summon his Mysterium armor, this is when Justine lets him know that the Mysterium armor is the last component that she needed to create the new Ironmonger armor. And my goodness, can you look at this thing? It's like both scary and intriguing and interesting at the same time. Now, Tony does his best to fight her off, and it kind of looks like he has a chance here for a second in the beginning of all of this. But then Justine has to lay it on him. She lets him know that he is missing the big picture, that this isn't any kind of armor war, that he's already lost, how all of his armors will be hers, his weapons company, and how the board already has all of the votes. So then Tony's like, the votes? That's cute. You know what I love about capitalism? It's not dichromatic. She replies back, she's like, the world's largest oil company is pretty well capitalized, Tony. Your board sees that. So picture it, Roxxon's enchanting new CEO, AIM's scientist supreme, and the sheer innovation of Stark, cornering both the global arms and energy markets. Fei Long gave us our opportunity. He took Stark Unlimited back to its core competency. Weapons like those, clever. But you're still not getting it. You're beaten. Do you know why your armor fell out of the sky? It's because I said so. And then she says armor drop, which then drops Tony all the way down to the ground. And then she continues. She's like, Roxxon's extra dimensional allies added something magical to AIM malware. Those berserkers uploaded to Stark's servers at the Sentinel factory. So now we know why they were there. If you had only been wearing the Mysterium armor then, see what I'm saying? This is how it came back to bite him in the butt. She said it's a clever worm. Once you ran a global armor update, you made it hungrier. And now all of your little suits are gobbled up. You should really learn some basic magic, Tony. It's a whole new business climate out there. Even one of your old Avenger allies is with us. And I think she's talking about Melinda May. See you at the board vote as she like drives off away while this dude is like trying to recuperate, you know, from this like devastating fight. And then later on, we see him doing something real old school, man, that just so brought me back to like the original Iron Man movie and original Iron Man comics. I love this little picture here. And then he says like, I've spent way longer than I want in the hospital and I've neglected my company, my father's legacy, not just mine, for too long playing superhero. Justine's wrong. She's about to learn that Roxxon and AIM are seriously undercapitalized. So she beat me in a fight. First time for everything. Last time for everything. She said this isn't another armor war. She doesn't know how right she is about that. All their wealth, everything they have is about to burn. This is the Stark Roxxon war. Honestly, I probably would have preferred if they just called it Armor Wars 2.0, but I understand the reason why they probably couldn't have done it. But I will say this, I am very intrigued by the story, especially because it looks like he's gonna have to kind of go back to the roots, right, of kind of how building this armor, going through this fight. I'm looking forward to it, guys. What did you think about this comic here? Leave it in the comments down below. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Hit the notification bell so that you know when the videos do go live. And until next time, and as always, thank you so much for kicking it with Keepin' It Comic. Bye.